I should probably qualify after my last video that this is not a pink ribbon shirt. It's actually a t-shirt supporting a local Republican congressman. Alright, so Governor Ralph Northam is being asked to resign over a yearbook photo, and the outrage mob is out in full force, and it seems like they just get angrier every single day. Because in a yearbook photo, Ralph Northam is there either in blackface or in a KKK hood. We don't know which one's him, but, you know, his name is above an image of two people dressed like that. He apologized at first, said that's not him anymore, but now he's denying. He's saying that wasn't him at all. The reason that he's denying it now is because he realized that apologizing to the outrage mob doesn't work. It just intensified the degree of perceived rage, right? It never does work with them. So if you receive an apology and it's sincere, you're supposed to accept the apology and try and move on, accept the fact that he's repented and move forward. But the left, they never do that. They double down. They see it as a sign of weakness. What bothers me about this whole situation is that he wasn't asked to resign, not with the same veracity at least, over his infanticidal comments just a few days ago, where he made it sound like, he made comments to the effect of, it's okay to kill a child after it's born if the mother so wishes. And he's made comments claiming that conservatives are misconstruing what he said. Every conservative site I've seen has either quoted word for word what he said or shown the clip in which he made the comments. So I don't think anybody has misconstrued his words or misrepresented them. In any case, I want to go ahead and show them to you so that we're on the same page and nobody's putting words into his mouth.
Example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion.
Yeah, he thinks it was blown out of proportion. I don't think you can blow out of proportion killing a child after it's born, which is what we're talking about. I have to wonder if there's any line they won't cross, like, or if it's like the Romans, where they thought that a parent had the right to kill a child up until like 13 or 14. And, you know, I understand that there are some arguments over where life begins, whether it begins at conception, or when there's a heartbeat, or when there's brain activity that we can register and tell. There are some valid arguments to be made in that regard. But here, in this case, there is no argument. It is clearly a live human being that we're talking about. You know, labor has happened, the child has been born, and he thinks it's still okay to kill it. So I have to wonder, you know, because we've had this constant switch between Democrats used to say first trimester as early as possible, as rare as possible, and then the kind of modern thing is third trimester's okay, it's the woman's choice. And this guy takes it to a whole new level, and he's like, even after it's born, you know, it's the woman's house. No, seriously, it's just so extreme. And this guy, he's a doctor. He knows what he's saying. He's calm, he's collective. It's not like he's just speaking really rapidly and he's too excited and we can't tell what he's saying, or maybe he's unsure and hasn't thought it through. He's calm, he's collective, and this is the statement that he has to usher forth. He's thought about this, and he worked in pediatrics. He worked with children. If I were his hospital, his employer, I'd be concerned that, you know, that maybe he'd actually hurt or killed some infants if the women wanted it, if the mothers wanted it. Honestly, I'd be really concerned. And I've heard conservatives talking in regard to this yearbook photo, since this is what we're supposed to be outraged about, not the baby killing. And they're citing the Kavanaugh case, and there are multiple reasons why we shouldn't do this. The first is that Kavanaugh was innocent. There was no evidence against him. Multiple women have recanted at this point. The left were just on this evil fishing expedition, looking for any kind of photo or statement, anything in his calendars from decades ago, anything he just might have said to prove something that didn't happen. But also, we shouldn't say that, oh, because the left did it with Kavanaugh, we should do it with somebody else. Because firstly, when the left attacked Kavanaugh, and looked through all of his history and everything for some kind of evidence, it was wrong. I mean, it was immoral. And also, of course, this guy got photo evidence, so, you know, he's actually guilty of what he's accused of. But really, we shouldn't use the left as moral arbiters. They're not. They're not moral. And we have this constantly changing, evolving morality that's shady. We don't need that. We have our own standards of decency. We should never say, because the left did this thing that was wrong, it's now okay for us to do it. We should hang on to decency. And if we accept their narrative that you can destroy someone's life on the basis of a photo 30 years ago, or a tweet 10 years ago, or whatever it is, then we give them the power to destroy anyone's life on a whim because they don't like the person. You know, we've all said things in the past that we no longer believe, or we've made jokes in the company of friends that we wouldn't make on a national stage, we wouldn't make if we thought the whole world was listening. Because it doesn't represent who we are in reality. Because when we say it to a friend, we know that the friend understands more to it, that we're greater than that one joke. But society is kind of devolving into this land where, oh, you said a joke and that's it. And there are two possibilities in regard to this yearbook, and let me pull this up in case you haven't actually seen it yet. So we know what we're talking about. Here we go. Alright, so there's a guy in blackface and a guy in the Klan outfit, and you've got the name of Ralph up top, and his interest is pediatrics even then. There's no reason why this wouldn't be him. All the photos on this page are clearly him. Alright. So there's two possibilities. One is that it was a joke. A bad one. A joke in bad taste, I should say. Kind of callous. Sure, but a joke. And especially boys and young men tend to be more likely to make jokes and pranks that are crass. I mean, it happens. It's kind of part of growing up. You make such jokes, and maybe not everybody dresses up in a Klan outfit. That's a bit extreme. But you know what I'm saying. The second option is that it wasn't a joke, that it was for real. In that case, we can say that he has changed a lot, that he's a different person now. I don't think he's a better person. I mean, if you go from a Klan outfit to killing babies, I don't think you've really stepped up. I don't. But we can say he's a different person. I don't think he's doing the Klan thing anymore, that's for sure. The irony here is that he has made enemies with the Christians due to his baby-killing remarks, and they're the people who would normally be the most likely to forgive his picture from the past. They're the people who would normally come forward and say he repented, he apologized, it's time for us to move forward, people can change, we're supposed to forgive. That's the crowd that usually would be defending him, but they're going to be less likely to because he's wants to kill babies and thinks that's okay. And again, I don't want to defend this guy, and I won't. I'm merely trying to express to fellow conservatives especially that we shouldn't use these methods such as the yearbook photo, some photo from 30 years ago, and we shouldn't use the left standard of morality because it's a bad standard, let's say. Alright, do you know that this guy actually accused his opponent of racism? During the race? He was pointing at somebody else and saying, "You're a racist." The irony. But the thing is that Republicans are always accused of sexism and racism. And just about every other ism. You hear it constantly, especially in regard to Trump, but to a lesser degree in regard to just about every Republican candidate. And the truth is that it's the Democrats who are always getting caught. Who are always, or 90% of the time, who are the guy in the Klan outfit is the Democrat. And likewise, the guy accused of some kind of sexual impropriety is also a Democrat. And yet they accuse Republicans constantly. They make it part of their narrative. And if you look back throughout history, the Democrats have been the party of slavery. They were the party of the KKK. And if we look toward history, we start to see some patterns. Some things never change, I guess you could say. Nowadays, the Democrats say that they are essentially the party of privilege. They're constantly trying to rise up one group and say this group is better for this reason. They kind of stack them, you know, depending upon their levels of privilege, and that's no way to create a healthy society. In fact, getting two different groups to fight against each other like that, because whenever you prop one up, you essentially push another down. You're discriminating against another. Whenever you do that, you're setting people up for essentially a civil war as all these different groups fight one another. The Conservatives say that what they want is that they're a party of more fairness as opposed to privilege, that everyone should start out the same way. Sure, not everyone's going to succeed as much as a different person. You've got different people with different abilities and different strengths and weaknesses, but it should be a fair playing field, essentially. That is attainable. The privilege thing, it's not attainable. It's just essentially a recipe for disaster at the societal level. And when it comes to this whole thing of let's dig through someone's past and see what remark they might have made that we can use to destroy them, how many people, especially those on the left, how many people who've been calling for his resignation would want to be held to the same standard? That of a 30-year-old yearbook. And especially guys, you know, because they are more likely to do pranks and that kind of thing. But just anybody would want to be held to that. Especially with this constantly changing standard of the left. I say standard kind of, you know, loosely. But like, even when you look at the trans thing and how 6 or 7 years ago, making a joke about trans people, or men who dress up as women or what have you, would be seen as funny and perfectly okay. Now you're like their version of the Antichrist. That's just a constantly changing morality that no one can ever keep up with, and that is ridiculous. And in many cases evil, like their stances on killing children, which they apparently mostly defended. I don't know if you know this, but CNN, which belongs to the left, actually falsely called this guy a Republican, you know, because he's racist, and therefore he's Republican. That's the narrative. Here it is. Let's see.
For me, when you were
here it is. There's the R, because he's, you know, such a Republican. No, he's a Democrat, but doesn't fit their narrative, so he's one of theirs, of course. And any retraction they ever make will never be as obvious. In fact, they probably won't do a retraction at all. They usually don't. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, please like it and subscribe, share it with your friends. I've got some links in the description that will provide you with better ways to be notified of new videos, and also a few links that will provide you with ways to support the production of these videos. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.